I'm Mar, and once again this is my opinion. Debuting on Netflix in 2019, The Irishman is Martin Scorsese's latest crime film and one that is painted beautifully. Adapted from the Charles Brandt book I Heard You Paint Houses, the film details the history of the Bufalino crime family as witnessed by Frank Sheeran. Unfolding over the course of several decades and told through non-linear reminiscences, Frank ruminates on everything from low-level mob dealings to his relationship with Teamster's leader, Jimmy Hoffa, and his eventual disappearance. This aspect of the story draws ire from a historical standpoint, which is chronicled elsewhere. From a filmmaking standpoint, the main gimmick is the primary actor's digital de-aging. Digital age manipulation is nothing new, but it's usually been regulated to individual scenes, X-Men 3's opening, and Steve Rogers' retirement, for example. The film breaks ground by attempting the technique on this scale to various results. Certain scenes and shots look amazing, showing the time and care Pablo Hellman and Industrial Light and Magic put into their work. With these shots, it's like the actors have been transported from their prime. That said, there are times where the polish isn't as strong and the illusion is broken. De Niro is the main victim here, most noticeable during the war and trucker flashbacks. As he ages, the age fake blends better, although his age is still evident during the grocer scene. Some might argue there's no excuse for these moments considering the estimated $160 million budget. Warranted, but considering the film's length and star power, I'd be surprised if there weren't a few hiccups. Hopefully as technology improves, de-aging on this scale will strengthen. Scorsese's directing is top-notch. While I have not watched many of his films, through his gangster films alone I can say he's a genius. Recent comments aside, Scorsese's shots are framed well and steady, allowing the audience to soak in the ambiance of each scene. Like Goodfellas, there is a long tracking shot, which masterfully opens the film. The editing is just as masterful, never feeling rushed during complicated back and forth moments, or slow when the tension is high. The acting is good to great throughout. The supporting cast do their jobs well, none coming across as wooden or unbelievable. It's nice to see Anna Paquin as older Peggy, even though she's only in a few scenes. Harvey Keitel feels both calm and imposing as Angelo Bruno. Easy to talk to if given the opportunity, but God help you if he's crossed. Whisper learns this the hard way. Ray Romano surprised me as Bill Bufalino. Mainly known for comedy, Ray feels natural as the mob lawyer. While there's still that awkwardness he had as Ray Barone, here it's mainly felt in the courtroom scenes, which is warranted given the various stakes. The trio of De Niro, Pesci, and Pacino are the film's heart and marketing selling point. While some might roll their eyes at Scorsese including the former two in another gangster film, I have no issue with it. Directors work with actors they like repeatedly. Hitchcock did it, and if it was good enough for the master of suspense, it's good enough for me. Normally known for theatrical delivery, Pesci is subdued here, playing Russell Bufalino subtly. While this may disappoint some considering Pesci was pulled out of retirement for this role, according to IMDb he was asked over 50 times, given the film's tone and Russell's character history, theatricality would have been a disservice. De Niro is the film's soul, both protagonist and narrator. He's the audience's guide through time and the lens that brings the world to life. With that in mind, he is an unreliable narrator. The time's events and politics filter through his personal biases. I couldn't help but roll my eyes several times. De Niro plays Frank well. While he's cold when it comes to hits, Frank sees it as a job and nothing personal. He's a working man trying to provide for his family. A relatable position. Even so, the people he associates with and the life he lives end up pushing his family away. Frank ends alone. A bittersweet note that De Niro works into his performance during the final act. Pacino is the weak link. While not a bad performance per se, something feels off at times, although this could be a creative choice to show Hoffa could be unhinged. This is more noticeable during the post-prison scenes, and there it doesn't bother me as much. Offness aside, Pacino does make Hoffa both likable and unlikable. He's good with kids, but an ass for taking his hatred of JFK too far. Jimmy, the man just died. He also has great chemistry with De Niro, making the friendship between Frank and Hoffa believable. This makes the murder scene both tragic and tense. The audience knows what's going to happen, stoked along by the film's construction and Pacino's candid tone. Even in an empty house, he doesn't suspect his friend until suspicion need not apply. The film's portrayal of the mob is interesting. While there is some romanticizing from Frank's musings, the violence isn't sugar-coated. Frank talks casually about carrying out hits, giving tips on how to carry one out and where to dispose of the weapon afterwards. Even the "be careful not to get whacked" tension is brought up, felt beautifully during the other whisper subplot. Frank took the wrong job without asking, incurring Angelo's wrath. Only Russell's intervention saved him from taking a dirt nap, showing that the phrase, "it's who you know," even applies to organized crime. Now let's talk music. Tuxedo Junction, I Hear You Knocking, Canadian Sunset, and other contemporary tracks are all used to help set the scene. Some are merely in the background while others are near the front to varying degrees. Robbie Robertson composed a decent score, but if the film has any theme, it's In the Still of the Night by the Five Satins. First played over the aforementioned tracking shot, still pops up repeatedly as the plot unfolds, never feeling intrusive. Still complements the film's reminiscing structure and bittersweet tone. While written as a love song, the lyrics can be interpreted in this context as one holding on to special memories and refusing to forget, despite the pain. While not a review focused on how accurate the film is historically, some wonder how much of the portrayed events occurred this way. My earlier unreliable narrator and biased comments should give some insight into my view. Criminals are known to embellish their crimes after the fact, especially as time passes. Given how many years have passed since the events, there is a possibility Frank Sheeran is taking credit for crimes he didn't commit. There are articles and videos dedicated to debunking the claims, and author Charles Brandt even wrote an article refuting one. The absolute truth will probably never be known, but as the saying goes, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Truth, fabrication, or a mixture of both, Frank's story is a good one, worthy of cinematic adaptation.